And you are on.
Good morning. Happy Thursday, everyone. Jesse's in the house.
Hello.
I'm so excited.
Me
She
too.
said, what are we going to talk about? I'm like, I don't even think we don't need a list of anything.
I always have fun when you guys are on the show because you guys are like natural content. You know what I mean? Just fun to hang out with. So you're like my favorite.
We feel the same about you.
So it's kind of cool to be here with you for a change.
Yeah. We were kind of talking about our not quite as professional as your studio setup.
That's all right. Sounds good.
Yeah,
Sounds
like
good.
we do the headphones and all that because we got a vacuum cleaner going on that wall. We got 6 guys over there working on that wall. And so we do the best we can, and we're happy to have you. So we appreciate you coming down and joining our little world.
Well,
So
thank you. I feel like I should be talking to a pit crew. You know?
I know. Yeah. Race car
that's what we
driver
always
for
say.
sure.
We always do a little impressions of newscasters before we start, setting the
Right.
papers. And
Well, you have to have nothing on underneath. They only do like the stuff on top and the shorts.
We could totally.
I did introduce the audience to the fact that you think that he looks like Chris Stapleton.
He's a
and
better
that you
looking
always get
Chris
a little
Stapleton.
googie-eyed.
Yeah.
I know. I felt bad. I trimmed my beard, and I was like, I don't look like a Stapleton anymore. So
Yeah, it looks good though, Shane.
Thank you.
You look
Thank
a little
you.
younger now. Is that
Weird, right?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. So.
Yes.
I always feel
should've
like
done
you
a long
remove a
time
little
ago.
hair, it takes a few pounds off you,
Yeah, that's what I keep trying. I mean, it's just getting shorter and shorter. I lost a few yesterday, so.
Well, it looks beautiful.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
It's my morning hair. I haven't really had time to do too much with
I
it.
know.
So.
Well, you know what people don't understand is we get up, we're hustling, we're moving. You're on the radio. You already did a radio show. We have you here right now. Like it is you. It's go time for you.
It's go time. And then it's nap time. After that, it's nap time.
Shane, we're
And in the
doing it
pool.
wrong. We're missing
Yeah, we're
nap
supposed to get a nap in there. We were just talking about how
Yes.
I just decide not to sleep most days, and I'm like,
Sleep is important.
eventually, like usually there's like a Saturday or Sunday where I just sleep for like 11 hours,
Just
and
check
I
out.
all week long it's nothing, and then I just wake up, look out in the living room, kids are awake, and I'm like,
Hi.
good.
Have you got food? We're good. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my
So-
gosh, Miss Jessie, you are amazing. So
thank
you're
you.
on the radio and you do the Aquarius. I mean, you literally are super, super busy and involved.
Yes, I work 2 jobs, and most people on radio would understand that because, it's just, most of my life I've worked
Radio's
2
in the
jobs.
morning.
Yeah, so I do the radio thing in the morning and then I'm an executive host at the Aquarius in the evening.
Which
So
is a big deal.
it's a big deal. It's a big job.
It's not just like, hey, I work at the Aquarius and I'm,
Right.
doing movie tickets.
Yeah.
You are executive host.
Yes. I take care of the VIPs at the Aquarius, which it's a wonderful, wonderful job. And then we also are hugely involved with presenting all the events that happen at the Aquarius, whether it's the concerts or bingo or, that kind of thing, the tournaments, all of that. The
No
hosts
wonder
are-
why you need a nap, friend.
Right? Yeah. And I'm not 24 anymore. You know what I mean?
No.
So definitely naps come in handy when you can get one,
Yeah.
Take advantage.
So we know you're super busy. You do the Aquarius, you do this, you do events for the radio station. You have your own personal life, I assume.
I sort of. I generally go home and sleep, and that's my personal life. No, and then I have my pool. I get like Wednesdays is my kind of my day. I try to make it my day,
That's good.
and then I have a pool, and so that's why my face is all red because
I
I spent
love
way
it.
too
You
much
got some
time in the pool yesterday because that's my happy place. You know what I
Good.
mean? That I go to.
Well,
so
it's in your home. It's your pool. It's your space. So
Right.
you don't have to be on. You can just enjoy yourself.
It is, and that's what I enjoy about that. But I get out there when I can and get involved in the community where I can. It's a little more difficult doing the 2 gigs, but I
Yeah.
still try to get out there.
You do.
And
Look
so-
at Topak 66.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so I wanted to ask you, how did you get to the 2 gigs? Now, obviously, radio is a very unique thing.
Right.
But even at that, you get into the Aquarius and you get up into dealing with, the VIPs. How did you
How did I
you get
maneuver
there?
that?
Are they connected? Is it just a Jesse hardwire trait,
So
or
it's kind of connected. Years ago, I came back from Dallas. I was working for 2 radio stations in Dallas. I worked for the very first Edge in the country, and KZPS. And the man I'm married to now wouldn't leave me alone, and so he kept calling me. And then he was like, "Come visit," and then he was like,
Well
"Come
done.
stay."
It worked.
He wouldn't leave me alone. And so I eventually came back from Dallas and came here. And in between that time, I didn't have a gig in radio. So I went to the Golden Nugget, and Dawn Rice was the hotel manager at the time. And so she hired me for my very first casino job. And I kind of stayed in and out of that world and doing radio at the same time. I was member services at the Laughlin Chamber. I did the only Rockets on the River where they had the barges.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was the one that, put that together. Yeah. And back before the LTC existed, or in the way that it does now. Laughlin Chamber did most of those events, so like the Score and all that stuff.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so I kind of did that, and the NAC. I used to be on the NAC. I was the midday girl on the NAC,
and love the NAC.
At that time, and so I was doing that in the chamber. So I've always kind of flip-flopped back and forth in radio. But how I got out of radio and into executive host is because Obamacare became such an issue. With having health insurance. I was paying $1,200 a month with $6,000 deductibles for 3 of us. And so I was like, I need a real job. You know what I mean?
I know, man. Time to get a real job.
I need a real job where they have insurance and benefits and all that stuff, because the smaller companies got to where they couldn't afford the insurance at that time.
Yes.
So I had to get out of my chosen profession that I've been in since I was 15 and go get a real job, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I was able to combine the two here recently, over the last year or two, and get back into doing radio part-time too, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, what a journey. So 15.
15.
How does that happen?
What did that look like? Were you a DJ?
I was a bad girl. So I grew up in the sticks, and I grew up right on the border of Tennessee and Kentucky. So like 40 miles north of Nashville.
Listen to how you say Kentucky.
I know. It comes back when you start talking about it. And where I grew up, there was like 3 churches and a little country store. And to get to what we called town was like 10 miles away. And that was Lewisburg. And there was like a Minute Mart there and a little dairy. And then to go to real town was Russellville, where I actually went to high school, and that's where the first radio station I worked at was like
the bus out there
28 miles away. Yeah, 28 miles away. And so there wasn't a lot to do growing up for a kid. I had to go to Bowling Green to go to a record store, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So music was my love from the very beginning of just, life. My first toy was the Fisher-Price record player.
Yeah.
I carry that sucker around with me everywhere.
It just was in you.
It was. And then my brothers
cool.
and sisters were like 13 years older than me and my brother. He always played in bands. He makes guitars. And my sister, for whatever reason, it's like she knew I was going to be a disc jockey, because we'd ride around together. She was 11 years old. She goes, "Who sings this? Who sings that?" And she would, she like trained me.
Yeah,
on
you had
music.
to be on all the time.
Yeah, I had to know, So, so they kind of, I guess, molded me in that way. And I got to where I would call radio stations to request songs, and Nashville's classic rock station, KDF, and I had a thing.
Still remember
Oh
the
God. Yeah. I remember all the disc jockeys that I talked to. And just to get to hear my song. And to hear myself on the radio, or to hear them say my name and play my song, was just like the biggest deal ever, and I wanted to do that. So I was calling this disc jockey at a local radio station at night,
all the time,
and we were talking.
Hello.
And I've always been a little mature for my age. And he's like, "Well, how old are you?" And I'm like, "I'm 18. And he's like, "Okay," so we're talking, and eventually he wanted to go out with me, and so I was slipping out of the house and going to meet him.
And you were 15.
And I was 15. He didn't know it. So eventually, it's 'cause my mom and dad were divorced, and my mom lived in Ohio. I lived with my dad. And I went to see my mom, and I told her what's going on. She's like, "You got to tell that boy." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
His parents were from Cincinnati.
Oh, wow.
And that's where she was. And so he was taking me to Kings Island. And she's like, "You can go, but you've got to tell him how old you are." You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're like, "Mom, really? Come on."
So I had to tell him how old I was. And then we remained friends. But how it all happened, so there was a JTPA program back then for kids who to help them, to get to work. And I was involved in that, and the radio station, he let me know needed somebody to help in the afternoon. So
You're like, it's me.
Well,
Turn in that application. You're like, here's the age.
I'm 15. And they hired me. And 2 weeks, I take calls from the program director.
Oh my gosh.
And I was helping with trafficking and taking phone calls and that kind of thing. And he called in and he was like, Jesse, he goes, you want to be on? I was Jessica then, because I went by Jessica. And he goes, you want to be on the air? And I said, sure.
Yeah.
So he came in the next day and he gave me a bunch of commercials. And he had set me up with a reel-to-reel. And he's like, record these. And liked my voice on the air, or liked my voice on tape. So on Friday night, he said, come back Friday night at midnight. And so I did, and there was a kid from Western Kentucky University that was in the communications program at the Bowling Green College, and he came that night too, and we trained with the overnight guy. He did a couple of hours, I did a couple of hours. He said, okay, come back the next night. And the kid didn't come back, and I did. So
it was you.
It was me, and I wound up doing that overnights on weekends for quite some time. And when I was about 16, the overnight girl got in trouble for I won't say for what, but she got suspended, and they
Sorry about her luck.
Well, they threw me in there, and they left me, and I was like 7 nights a week. Working overnights at the radio station. I was a senior.
School?
I was a senior at 16.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I started my age because I'm January, and then I skipped kindergarten because they moved me up, and so I couldn't date, couldn't do anything. I wasn't allowed to date till I was 16 anyway. So
I was a senior when I got to date.
I know. I had a conversation with my dad. I'm like, look, but radio kind of consumed my life. Once I started in radio, I gave up all the other extracurriculars at school and just focused on, I lived at the radio station, hung out with those guys.
Obviously meant to be. I mean, how does that just all, that's a pretty wild life.
It was a blessing. It probably kept me out of trouble. I got to do a lot of things that I shouldn't have been doing. I was going to bars with them. She's with us. And this was back in the day before that it was, such a big deal.
Right.
And then going to work in the morning and they're like, pour me another tequila. I'm like, oh my God. And they're like, because they didn't want to work the morning shift, on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning. It was me, you know what I mean? So they take me out and then drop me off at the radio station and like, have at it, kind of thing.
So between 15 getting started and now, you have to have had some really cool stuff along the way. What's the one thing that jumps out? You're like, I can't believe I'm at this thing, experiencing this.
I guess I always wanted to make it to major market. That way, anybody that worked in radio back in the day before everything changed, because I came in on the tail end of digital, or really records going away. When I started, I got to go through all the old records that had Q burn and stuff because they were switching to reel to reel, and then after that it was CDs a couple of years later, and so I saw all that happen, and then digital. But since I grew up in the business, it was easier for me than people who didn't know computers, because everything changed, know what I mean?
Yeah.
And thankfully so, because editing tape is hard. And I think anybody who goes into radio should have to learn how to edit tape, even though you can't use it or do it, just to appreciate how easy digital is.
We
and
all
what you
made
can
really weird mixtapes when we were young.
Oh, that was so fun. So
I thought the one girl's really good at it, and you had to be like, hey, you make me one of those?
So I could give it to another girl? Is that
yeah.
So I could use it.
Yeah.
I was definitely not that guy. I didn't have any interest in doing it. I just want to listen to some music. Yeah.
So I guess Dallas is like that was my, big thing that I got to do. But I've met a lot of people. My favorite interview was Darius Rucker. I mean, most perfect interview ever. He was such a delight to talk to. And I was supposed to get it down to 5 minutes, and I couldn't because there was nothing to edit.
Like, hey, 5 minutes. That's like barely us getting through the start conversation at the radio station.
Right. So, I've done race cars. I slid off a bull. I was supposed to ride the bull, but the tack was not tight, and so whenever it came out of the chute, I just kind of, and they told me to let go whenever it starts. If you start, well, I didn't let go, and so I slid under the bull, and then it stepped on. I still have a hoof print on where it pinched the side of my leg.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, thank God he didn't step on my femur,
break
you know.
you,
But he
yeah.
didn't want to step on me, but I was
Like,
kind
I
of
don't know
not
what
getting
she's
out of the
doing.
way, you
I
know.
don't know what she's doing.
So I've done a lot of cool stuff. I've forgotten half the things I've done. People are like, oh,
Yeah.
you did.
So
oh,
when
that's
did
right.
you interview Darius Rucker? Was that like
That was
Country Days?
Yes,
or?
Country Days.
Oh, very
So
cool.
it was probably, I don't know, about 5. He was when he was at Harris last time.
Oh, very
That
cool.
that I got to interview him.
He seems like such a nice person.
He is, and he was so fun to talk to because, and one of the things I remember most about him is we were talking about, you know, country music and him being in country music. And he goes, yeah, he goes, when I was a kid, he goes, I'd be playing, you know, country music. And his brothers and sisters would be like, Mom, Darius is listening to that white boy music again. You know?
Yeah.
And he always, I mean, Hootie and the Blowfish. I
Yeah.
bought cracked rear view mirror, I think, twice because I stepped on it once.
yeah.
It broke it. And I
The
had
tape.
one in my car and one in the house. And so Hootie and the Blowfish was always one of my favorites. But he's just genuine, and I really like that whenever you get to talk to somebody that's in the business that just really enjoys what he does, and you can see it not only talking to him, but when you watch him perform, he just loves what he does. You know what I mean? He's
cool.
just natural.
I remember
So-
when he transitioned into country, and I was like, Hootie's doing country?
Hootie's doing right.
I don't even know who he really was, but and then you hear it, and he was so good, and you know, I still see that dang wagon wheel that he remade.
Of Bob Dylan's.
Oh,
yeah,
so good.
It is.
Yep.
Yeah, he's definitely one of my favorites. Chris Stapleton has become one of my favorites. He's a Kentucky
best.
boy, and he and his wife do a lot of stuff for the state of Kentucky. And his version of the Star Spangled Banner, I think, is the best version ever.
That's
Shame.
what I'm
that
saying.
song.
I have
That's it,
reused
yeah.
it. I stole the audio off of a highlight that the NFL put out
Yeah.
at one point, and I was using it for reels and things.
The next day, I think, I don't know if we did a show or something, but he was just like, you know, added it maybe to one of the
Yeah.
something on Facebook. Or
It's
he-
the
it was
best
like,
I ever heard.
Right.
Yeah,
And then you always
breathtaking.
listen to these, you know, national anthems, and these people butcher it, and you're like, "You're a professional. How are you so bad at this?" And then you
Good
hear him do it,
criticism.
and you're like,
Well, he
Yeah.
made
Wow.
it. He made it his own. He didn't
Oh.
try to be somebody else or do it in the way that
so
you know
beautiful.
everybody else does it.
"Simple." It was.
Yep.
Yep. It was
And
awesome.
It was. It is. I think the best version of that song ever.
Yep.
And I keep trying to get it. I need to get it in the radio station so that we actually play it on a regular basis
Yeah.
and put it in the system because it is. It's just.
It makes you want to stand up. It makes you want to, you know.
It makes you
immediately like.
yeah. It makes your
this
heart
is why I'm
expand.
here.
I
Yeah.
mean, it just makes your heart. But that's something about his voice that does that. I think.
Yeah.
You know, he just has that kind of ability.
Presence.
Yeah, and it really you can tell the difference. It's like Taylor Swift, great songwriter. I don't think she's a great singer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know, and a lot of people pop
Listen,
gonna
I
beat
can't
me
say
up.
anything. My Instagram will be full of people. Why are you always hating on Taylor? And
I
I'm like,
so he hates. You hate on Taylor too.
oh my God, so much.
So, and I don't-
drives me crazy.
She's talented.
There's
as
a meme going around that says Taylor
Me
Swift makes
too.
music for people who never got over anything ever.
right. Right.
I'm like, thank you.
Can
Get
you-
over it.
Can you imagine
Jeez.
having to be a guy and date her or
No.
marry her and be like, shh, there's gonna be songs about
Yeah.
me.
She started
listen.
dating a famous football player, and I don't know, I don't follow it. The only reason I knew was my son knew. He's like, yeah, because he's a lineman. He's like,
Right.
yeah, the big guy's finally got a good girl, you know. And I remember
Like,
thinking
oh,
that poor
the
guy's probably
song's
like so
coming.
excited, and he has no idea what's gonna hit him when they break
Oh.
up. Like,
Yeah, that would be a tough one. You'd feel I don't know. She's very talented.
Yeah,
She
for
started
sure.
at 13,
Yeah.
going around taking her stuff to record companies. You can't fault her for her tenacity and what she's
No.
and the fact that she can write.
Well, and the fact that she's made it this far and still seems to be a good person enjoying life and not, really falling
crazy
into the
person.
havoc of.
she's crazy.
But the havoc of
So
what
crazy.
the.
She's so crazy. You're in denial. Listen to the crazy stuff. She's
Listen, we
crazy.
have Britney Spears out there that couldn't even make it to 21 safely in the same kind of, so.
Listen, have you seen
you
Britney
have-
Spears lately?
she's hitting herself.
Holy
Stop
cow.
hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself.
I remember. So here, this shows a little bit of age, right? You're like, I remember Britney Spears was there, and I was like, she seems pretty crazy. People are like, no, I love Britney. Britney's the
it.
best. Blah blah blah. And now I'm like, I've
told
seen
you
crazy
so.
before. Like,
I've seen crazy.
I've seen it. I know what it looks like. Like, so give her 20 years, and we'll see.
It
But
didn't
it.
take that long. It did.
No.
She
just
she
shave
showed
her
it.
head
pretty-
yet, I guess. That's a plus. So.
I think somebody else is still in control of all of her stuff, aren't they? I mean, she
Yeah.
still doesn't have any control over her life. So
But a lot of child stars don't make it you know.
That's got to be really messed up as a kid. It gives you a skewed perception of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I would think,
That's a
especially
lot to
like
live
Michael
up to.
Jackson and, you know, Prince even had a very skewed perception of himself. You know, he was, I think that one time he wanted to have it was an elephant to go down Main Street or something like that, and then they're like, we can't do that, and he's like, but why? But why can't I have an elephant? Yeah, I just want to put it, you know.
So let's have a simple perspective. You know, we all knew someone who was very wealthy growing up, and it was their parents' money.
Okay.
Think about how disconnected that person was from the average person's reality.
Sure.
Now imagine that on a 10 times that scale with fame, and it's your money.
Yeah.
How do you expect that person to be normal?
And everybody
You know?
telling you you're amazing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
oh, you're wonderful. You're perfect. You don't have,
You're
you know,
the king. You're the king.
because it's the things that knock you down that make you a better person.
yeah,
And if you're not getting
absolutely.
knocked down, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then
When
you get a
do,
skewed
it's
perception.
heavy. When you get knocked down, it's heavy for those kinds of people.
Yeah, I mean,
Good thing we're poor, guys.
huh?
Good thing we're poor.
Yeah. It's a good thing we're poor. And we've had hard knocks, and, you know, that's
Yeah.
really made us good people. You know, so, or hopefully it has, you know, I don't
It's a
know.
matter of opinion, right?
It depends on the
who you talk
day
to.
Yeah, listen,
and how uncomfortable I
you know,
am.
you catch me one day, and Shane is not a friendly person. You catch me some days, and I'll give you, you know,
Yeah.
everything I have.
This is
and
so true.
That's so me. That's the way
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, you guys are very similar in personality. I think this is why you guys laugh. Because the day that we went in and you didn't have coffee and your music thing was messed up, you were having a moment, and I was like, "This is Shane.
This is
right
so
here."
Shane right
Yeah. And you guys definitely
things aren't going the way I
Yeah.
intended them to go. I get super sideways.
Well, you
I'm
know,
like, we set this up this way. It's supposed to happen this way. What is going on right now?
I prepared.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Breathe,
You know, I had all my
everything's
show
fine.
prep. It was all ready to go. And
The
then,
universe is with us. Just relax.
see, and I'm
He's
trying
like,
to
get out of here, Christy.
and I'm trying to focus. This morning I told myself, so I started to freak out when the computer wasn't working, and then it was like, okay, universe, because I keep getting the message that, you know, the universe is going to keep reflecting things back to you until you change.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, if you keep having the same
Oh.
response,
Yeah,
then the
yeah,
universe
yeah.
is going to keep reflecting that back.
Amen.
So
See?
I'm like, okay, I just need to go with the flow, and it is what it is. And, you know, it got better.
You got to
It-
tune your crystals is what you got to do.
Tune your crystals. You have crystals in your pineal gland that you
Yeah,
you
hey.
do. You
That's why
have
I,
little crystals
you know,
there.
Get them going. Get the universe tuned in.
Yeah, that's just true. You use your crown chakra to do that, Shane.
Love this right
You
now.
know, yeah. To see,
So me and Christy are such opposites in that. You know, she's got all that, and I'm like,
I see. I'm a
nah.
combo of you two.
We are. That's why
Yeah.
you're in the middle.
I'm your child.
You're a Jesse sandwich.
Yeah.
So yeah, but when you're an A-type personality, you know, and you're the kind of personality that gets things done.
Yeah.
You know, and you expect things to be a certain way because that's how
Yeah.
you get things done every day. You know,
You're so right. You're right.
when-
Well, you hold it personal. So when
Yes.
it doesn't go as planned, then it's like, oh, now I failed.
Yes.
And that's nobody likes that.
It's not even I failed. It's just I need to accomplish this, and you're impeding my progress. Is what
Yeah.
it is. You know,
Yeah.
I don't like things to impede my progress. You know, but the universe is teaching me to, you know,
To be patient.
let it slide.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Well,
Let it
that
go.
universe teaches some lessons, huh?
Oh yes, I've noticed as I've gotten older, and I think back on my life and things that I've either said that I wouldn't do, or that I didn't want, or that it's kind of like the universe goes, I'm going to remember that.
I swear
And
to you.
it comes back
Yeah.
around. You know what I mean? It's like,
I always say I will never say I wouldn't anymore because everything I said when I was like 21,
Yeah.
25, knew everything.
yeah.
Everything I said I wouldn't do, I do.
My dad used to tell me, he goes, I remember being 18. I remember knowing everything too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you think you do,
Yeah.
you know, and then the universe
I
kind
think
of
that's one of
goes,
the things that drives me so crazy about Instagram is we all know, but we didn't tell the whole world that we knew everything at 20. And now you got every 20-year-old telling
Telling you
everybody, I know everything.
I
and,
know everything.
You know, now the internet's been around long enough that you can look back and go, well, here's a video 5 years ago where you said some other dumbass thing. Like, what are you talking about here? You know?
well, you know, you have to accept that people change.
Yeah.
You know, and grow, and hopefully grow and change. And you're
Yeah.
not the same person you were 5 minutes ago sometimes. You know what I mean?
No.
Learning to live in the moment, you are something new all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
and
love it.
and
Yes.
that is really what you have to learn to accept that and forgive yourself too. I think forgiveness, not just for other people, but for yourself and the things that you've done that you're not so proud of, but you were doing the best you could at that time. based
Yeah.
on the information that you had. You know what I mean? So
Agreed.
there's lots. I'm just grateful there wasn't recorded the stuff that I've done.
That's what I always say.
You know.
Is that, listen, you kids are idiots nowadays because you're recording
Listen,
everything that happens.
I thought
You
I knew
don't know.
everything at
Yeah.
18 and 20. Right? But I
Yeah.
just didn't have a platform for the world to tell me I was so great and smart.
Yeah.
Like,
I always tell the kids, your story's on video. My story comes from me, so it's my way.
And I can change that story if I need to.
Yeah.
Or that kind of thing.
Yes.
We went and had dinner with one of my best friends in Vegas for his birthday a couple months back. And it was so funny because I took my son with me. And so it's a bunch of 40-year-olds, my son,
Who
and then
looks-
their families and spouses and
looks
whatnot. And we're
grown.
telling all these wild stories. And I'm just sitting there thinking, oh, shit.
You're giving
I don't
him
think
so
I-
much
I don't think
ammunition.
I told Benjamin that story. I don't think I told him that story that way, at least. Like, I may have told him the result or something, but that was not how,
give him the
I didn't
full
tell him the whole
detail.
thing. Yeah. So there's a lot of truth to that. You can tell your own story,
Yeah.
My kids, I grew up, so I was always conservative. I grew up conservative. I was like the only Republican in school. There was me and Rodney, and then the rest of were all Democrats, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I grew up conservative, Christian based, all that stuff. And I still believe a lot of all of that. But I have done a 360, you know what I mean? And my kids don't know what to think because I was always like, trying to get them to go to church and all these things. And now I've kind of done a 360 and gone the spiritual path. And they're like,
"What
Mom,
are you doing?"
kind of cool, Mom. I feel like I'm now the cooler mom, with them. But it was a big shock to them, you know what I mean, to be
Yeah.
reared one way and then to have moms change, her perspective on so many things.
The nice thing is when you start to really grow out of who your parents tell you are supposed to be.
Yes.
And who you want to be. It does change.
It does.
And it is usually shocking for people.
And I'm trying to teach my girls. I always taught them to be independent and to fend for themselves and that kind of thing. But now I just try to, be exactly who you want to be.
Yeah.
Whatever it is you want to do, I support you. You know what I
Love
mean?
it, yeah.
And because it's not my decision. You came here to do a certain thing, and whatever it is that you came here to do, you need to do that.
Yeah.
And
I'm
I
here
do
to
my
support
best
ya.
to support you and in whatever that is.
Yeah.
But I was a hard. Everything was, you have to make the grades, you have to do this, you have to
Yeah.
do that. So I was kind of a tough mom.
I think that that's kind of how really life has changed a little bit for our children, and will continue probably for their children, where life's a little more lenient and you don't have to be so structured. My parents were just like that.
Yeah.
Where I was like, no, like I can't control you. I can be a good example for you. I can
Right.
show you what I think and I want and guide you, but the ultimate choice is yours.
Absolutely. I just felt like I was supposed to make them productive people,
Yeah.
good members of society, that kind of thing. I was indoctrinated into all of that.
Yep.
And didn't realize till later on that, that's not really the way things are supposed to be.
No.
So.
It's never what you think it is.
No.
Grew up very idealistic, and then, you get kind of your eyes opened, and it really changes the way you view things. So.
Yeah.
I was on my own at 16. I moved out of the house the first time when I was 16, still going to school, still working. So I was kind of independent,
Yeah.
from my parents in many, many ways. Not that they didn't have huge influence on me. They did in who I was. But even when I was little, I would take off. My mom we'd go to the store, and she'd be like, turn around. I was gone, and she's like, then she
Where
got,
are you?
yeah. And then she's like, I'd freak out. And then 20 minutes later, I'd hear my name called over the intercom because I would go to the customer service desk and say,
When you
can
were
you page,
ready.
will you page my mom? She goes, I come and you be sitting up there talking to all the girls, they're all loving you. And I'm like, I'm going to kill you, But I was known for taking off and kind of going my own
you've
way,
just been a
even
free
as a child.
spirit.
Oh, yeah. I was never afraid to get out there and go.
Yeah, you're a
so-
radio girl. Even back then.
I think it was kind of predestined. You know what I mean? It was something that I definitely. It combined music and talking.
Yeah.
And that was my favorite thing. I was in speech class. I had the same speech teacher my oldest sister had, and she, whenever I went into radio when I was 15, she's like, "I'm so glad you found something to do with that mouth." Because I always had something to say.
She's like, listen.
So.
Nothing wrong for owning a room when you walk into it. You know what I'm saying?
So, I didn't mean to. It just happened that way. So
Yeah.
So I know that we have talked a little bit when we come in and see you that you'd like to do some additional things, including maybe get into podcasting or doing your own thing a little
look,
bit.
we were so cute.
Oh,
that
yeah. Look, well, hanging over. I hate taking pictures, just so you know. That's why I look that way. Because
I hate taking pictures too.
I do.
I love
Let me
them.
rephrase
We
that.
did
Yes,
great.
she does.
I love taking pictures of other people.
She did the right thing.
Yeah, friend.
No, I think that's why my dad used to tell me when I was a kid to be seen and not heard, and it used to irritate me. Because whenever family came, or not parents, but company came over,
Yeah.
children to be seen, not heard.
Yep.
So I think that I kind of went the other way. I want to be heard and not seen.
Yeah.
And radio gave me that opportunity to
You're
do
not
that.
putting me in a corner.
I don't.
huh?
Well, and I don't have to worry about pictures so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because some people like that sort of thing. I would rather talk than take pictures because they're so critical of
yourself?
Yeah, you know what I
Aw,
mean?
you're
Everybody's
so
just
cute.
you could find all kinds of things. Oh, that hair was out of place, and
yeah.
I got a roll right there. And,
Listen, don't get me wrong. When Jeff does the video and I'm like, don't get the back fat. Wait, don't get the hair
Right.
swing. Like, let's edit this part out.
yeah,
I'm
I had
well-trained.
lipstick on my teeth, that kind of thing. So yeah.
We're definitely most critical of ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
That's where self-care comes in. Self-talk.
Yes, I've been
Also
working on
important.
that, and I've changed a lot of my self-talk because
Good.
I focus on I'm a divine being. I'm an aspect of the Creator and full
Yeah.
manifestation. I tell myself that all the time.
You're
I walk
enough.
around, saying that to myself.
Yeah.
So it's
I love it.
It's definitely.
Oh, we got to
changed
go
the
to
way-
lunch. We're going to lunch.
But that's what I want
monthly
to do the
lunch.
podcast on. Yeah, that's what I want to get into, that kind of podcast.
I
the
love
Joe
it.
Rogan stuff. I really believe that they've been hiding from us our true history of how long we've been here and what we've accomplished. And we didn't build the pyramids, people. I'm pretty sure.
Did you watch the? It's a Netflix show, Ancient Apocalypse. Did you watch it?
I think I probably have.
It's pretty awesome.
These two right
Was
here.
it talking about the
So
deluge?
It's the Graham Hancock theory that there was an advanced civilization before what we have is dated history, and he doesn't prove it, but he definitely proves that they have no idea where any of this stuff came from or who did it.
Are you talking about the Anunnaki?
I'm not sure.
so-
So the Ancient Apocalypse show is about a whole series of things, like the pyramids all around the world that are dated around 11,000 years ago.
Right. On the ley lines of the earth.
Yes,
They're on the
and
chakras,
they
basically.
have no idea why, how, or who did them, why they're so similar, or like they don't know anything about it. But we were all taught that they did, but they really don't.
I think they've been hiding it. I really do. I think that the powers that be, and I do believe there's an elite that know how everything works. And they've been hiding for a very long time that we are divine beings and that no one should be telling us who we are or what we are, connecting to God in our own way, that there should be no one in between that experience. And and that by doing so, you manifest your own reality and you manifest a better reality. But by keeping your focus on what they want you to believe and what they see as, their reality, that's what we're creating. You are a powerful being. And when you put your attention on something, you create it. You know what an electron is?
Yep.
Okay, so there could possibly be only one electron in the whole entire universe, and that's what creates all of what we see. So when an electron goes, when you see it, or until you see it, it's a waveform. But once you observe it, it becomes matter. So what does that tell you? Where you put your attention is what you create.
Yeah.
So therefore, all of this with the news, that's why I've dropped out. I don't watch the news. I don't
Very informative
participate.
and accurate.
Huh?
It's very informative and accurate.
Yeah, I can tell. But the point of it is if you're doing it, if I focus on that, then I'm just helping them manifest that reality.
Right.
I want to manifest my own reality.
I'm giving my attention
I
to.
want to manifest a better reality, and I think we can. I think it's very possible. I think that people feel disempowered these days because they've been taught that they don't matter and that all of these people get to decide what their lives are like.
Yeah.
And it's not supposed to be that way. We should be focusing and manifesting our own realities. And eventually it happens. I mean, there's a vibration of the planet that creates reality. And the Egyptians they were keepers of the net is what they considered themselves to be. And I think it had to do with the ethereal energy that actually creates reality. And So think about it this way, and I'm not a mathematician or anything, but I think that if you had enough people focusing on just lifting their vibration, whether it's not drinking coffee or not lying or just doing whatever they can do that's better for them to lift the vibration of the planet, we can manifest a different reality. Even if you change this much and you change this much, to collectively, all of those changes are going to add up and create something different. And so I don't think it's inevitable that we have to have this cataclysmic event that's going to cause the end of the world. And I don't think it has to be inevitable. I think that we can change
What are you
things.
telling us, Arganda?
Who's that? Oh, should I shut up?
No.
Is that what that meant?
It's good.
What does that mean?
Well, I think that
Conspiracy theorist.
Is that what it is?
I love it because whenever we go for the radio, these two always go wild on things, and I'm just like,
So you know what's funny is I've been a conspiracy person. I'm just a skeptic in general, so I question things,
challenges
right?
everything.
Everything. I'm just a natural
not me.
skeptic,
I don't challenge
right?
anything.
But most of these things that I've been talking about are coming true,
Yes.
Yeah.
right? Like so there's a little joke though. It says they put a quarter in the Alex Jones was right jar. And it's like, it's filling up, man.
Yeah.
Like, all these things are coming true. So I love the tinfoil hat jokes and all the other stuff because they said that about all this stuff that is now fact and or proven at this point.
Well,
so.
the best way to dispel something is to make it stupid. You know, if you want to, you have to truly be able to. If you want to change, you have to be willing to be thought stupid. You know, because in the beginning, look at Tesla and the way they treated him.
Let's talk about that.
You know, and how they made him out to be crazy. And yeah, he was.
All you gotta do, you just gotta get
He
a
was
little,
eccentric. He was different, but he was so smart
Right.
that, of course, he's not going to,
Understand
relate to
normal.
humans the same way when you're at that level. And he and Einstein did what they called, they were tapping into the collective consciousness. That's where they got the theory of relativity. Einstein had this practice where he would allow himself to go to sleep. And he'd keep a ball in his hand. And as soon as he'd work on a problem in his mind and go to sleep. And as soon as he started to go to sleep, that ball would drop. And then he could tap into that theta wave and into the collective consciousness. And that's where he got a lot of his information. Tesla knew how to do that too. That's why he understood 3, 6, and 9 in vibration, that's what manifests all reality. You know, I used to think that none of this is real. This is, it's all.
Are we in a simulation right now?
I think that it is to a certain degree a game, basically. You know what I mean? If you're an infinite being, you got to have something to entertain yourself.
So,
you know what I mean? Attorneys all
kind
the
of like
time.
you talked about manipulation, control, and so then you have somebody like Tesla, who then was immediately met by someone like Edison, who manipulated him, discredited him, and took all of his ideas, turned them into money, and then Tesla's a crazy person. Edison's got streets named after him.
Yeah, well, Edison also electrocuted an elephant to try to show that,
to make Tesla look bad?
Yeah, to try to make Tesla look bad.
This is all that stuff that everybody says, oh, that's crazy. You can look it up. Like, all this stuff has happened.
It's true.
So.
There's been a lot. Fact is definitely crazier than fiction by any stretch of the imagination. But Tesla understood how things were. And they're still using the motor. The first motor he ever made, they're still using that whole concept today.
Wild.
He was born on a like a July 6th, I think it was July 6th, and it was a super thunderstorm, electrical storm that happened when Tesla was born. And it was almost like he was special. I really think he was brought into this world to create these ideas. And after he died, he lived in the New Yorker, and he died, and it was like 3 hours before they called his nephew to let them know that he died. It was Trump's uncle who was in charge of, I don't know, it was like a CIA or whatever they were before that became all that, went in and took trunk loads of Tesla's work before they ever called his nephew.
And that's why Trump's grandfather was a time traveler.
That is a theory that Barron Trump, that was in that book, that he was because Tesla was working on stuff like that.
I can't tell you I haven't watched all these videos. I am a sucker for all of it.
You can get sucked in so easily, But as far as that goes, it is true.
Jeff, you're funny today. Look at this.
Yeah.
We should do this like all the time.
We should.
I
know. Listen,
someone got to start a podcast for this.
This would be awesome. That's what I would like to own. It's 11:11. See, that's a good sign. It's
Weird.
What if I told you that clock was off?
It's still 11:11 to me.
You still looked at
Yeah, it's at 11:11.
It's
right.
on Apple time, which is super official.
It's
so.
a synchronicity from the universe telling me
Yeah.
that that's a good idea.
It's definitely
That's a great
11:11.
idea.
Yeah.
Genius. Hey, I had a dream that I was going to be a newscaster.
Did
and
you?
then I manifested these shows. I tell Shane all the time.
Did you? When,
I
So
swear
you
it.
tricked me into this?
Yep.
Dang.
when did you have that dream?
So it was probably about a few months before like any of this. I got moved to Shane. Like, here, you're going to marketing. I'm like, okay, I don't know what that is. And then I was like, oh my god, like I would love to be a newscaster. I had like a dream of like,
You didn't know it was going to be like this, but
No.
but you kind of got a concept of what it was you're going to be
Yeah.
doing. Newscaster was the one thing you could relate it to. So.
yeah. I don't know
That's
why.
cool. That's way cool. So you had a vision, or you saw it happening.
I did.
So
It's
I'm
prophetic.
the one. You ever see the meme on the internet where like my friend's dreams? It's like this beautiful magical
Yeah.
message or something, and mine's like a shark riding a bicycle, and I'm like,
Eating
all
your face
right,
off.
what does that mean?
Shark riding a bicycle.
It's always
That's
like I have the
funny.
dumbest dreams ever, and I'm like, what do you take from that? You know?
Right?
Oh, all right. You know, maybe I should sleep more. Maybe that's what it's telling
Maybe
me.
it's saying relax. It's
Yeah.
it's fun.
Because a shark never sleeps.
Yeah, well,
That they
I don't
don't.
know if- I don't know if I really had that. Just the craziest thing. I could
Hold on, we're gonna
But my
figure out what
dreams
your
never
dream
have, like-
means right
Right.
You
Oh,
know-
I
No
love that
big
stuff.
mean.
I love that stuff.
They-
Twilight Zone. Do 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 do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know? I don't know why it made me think of this. So, do you like Star Trek?
I do not like Star Trek.
Oh, you suck. So,
Listen, I watched it growing up, and so I watched the old one. My parents were into it. I watched the one with Picard,
Right.
what a Next Generation or whatever that was, and so I've watched it. I'm familiar with it. I'm not a fan.
so I guess I'm a fan because my brother was 13 years older, and he played in bands and stuff. And he was cool.
He was cool.
And he wouldn't do anything with me, but he would watch Star Trek with me. So I got to watch Star Trek with him, and so I think that's why I was really turned on to Star Trek. And then the reboot I thought was fascinating. I loved how they saved the old Star Trek and kept that timeline, and that it all really happened, and then they just changed the timeline. You know what I mean? Into something else.
I've never really seen
The
it
reboot.
much.
Oh man, it
Yeah.
was really well done, I thought. And anyway, the point I was getting to, for some reason, when it popped up of Twilight Zone, do you know who the money was that backed Star Trek?
I do not.
It was Lucille Ball. I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah. After she broke up from what's his face?
Yeah, Ricky Ricardo.
Yeah. And he had run that whole production company like into the tank, and she brought
She
it back,
needed to find
and she
her
gave them
own.
the money to make the first pilot and stuff. So
That's pretty
I thought that
cool.
was cool too.
Yeah,
you know,
she
that-
obviously had a vision.
yeah,
you
or
know?
she saw the vision and that it was going to be something. So,
Yeah.
you know, because I think that a lot of that might be going on out there, and it was just they were showing us, you know, so here's what's really
That's
happening.
wild.
Do you
Yeah.
believe in aliens?
Oh yeah.
He
Yeah, I do
believes
too.
in
Oh,
aliens.
yeah.
I didn't. 2 years ago, I would have
Listen.
died saying there's no way possible.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm
now I do.
super into it. I'm convinced that they know. I'm convinced they're not telling us. I'm convinced they lie. They put random stuff out there, so we have no clue what to make out of what's real and what's not. And it's a huge universe. We have in the last 100 years advanced our technology 20-fold. Right. 200 years ago, we were riding horses and
Right.
figuring out electricity. Now we're sending pictures through the sky and all this stuff. So what's another 100 years? And you add AI, whatever, and we think that there's not aliens out there? That's silly.
Well,
That's silly.
have you ever heard of the Emerald Tablets? Anunnaki. So there is
I'm gonna be googling Anunnaki.
Anunnaki.
when I leave here.
So they were a race of people who came here because they had put a hole in their ozone. Now this is in tablets. Put a hole in their ozone, and they needed gold to fix the problem in their planet, and they came here to get the gold. Yeah, this is in tablets, you know, and now people, I guess today that can, you know, fix holes in the ozone know that gold is one of the ways you can do it. So they say that they came here, and the hominoid that was here was evolving, and they helped it evolve so they could get them to do the work to mine the gold. And then
it's like the premise of every sci-fi Egyptian
Right?
movie ever.
Exactly. And then after that, they allowed them to create a female to be able to mate. But if you look at your DNA, from what I understand, I think they're called telemeters at the end of your DNA, and the scientists understand that those are caps on our DNA that keep us or make us age. That we weren't meant to age the way that we do, and that we're supposed to have more strands of DNA than we do.
Ooh.
So
there's a guy who thinks he's hacked aging, and it's through DNA manipulation.
Of course it is.
been
Remove
on
those
Joe
caps. Remove those
Joe
caps.
Rogan.
Yeah.
And then you wouldn't have that problem anymore. You know what I mean?
It's wild.
It's interesting stuff. That's the kind
The
of stuff I'm
question is,
interested
can they
in.
reverse aging? Because I'd like to be younger. I don't want to be this age forever, you know?
So there are people who believe.
Go back to 35.
Yeah, like right around early 30s would be ideal.
Do you know who
That'd
Joe
be great.
Dispenza is? So Joe Dispenza was in a severe car accident and basically was crippled and willed himself to walk again. And he teaches how to use your mind to change
powerful
your
thing.
body. And if you have the ability to tap into yourself that well, I mean, there's reason to believe you can connect to your truest form of DNA and actually reverse aging. You know, but that takes practice. You know, it's a lot more than just mindful thinking. You know,
No,
you
gotta
really
work
got
and
you
get
got to
into
work
that.
it. But I think that it does make you look younger. I feel like for me, even though I'm still my age, but I feel like it's affected the way I look.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean?
good.
I don't feel like I look as old as I used to since I've kind of changed the way of
thinking.
being and my way of thinking, because I'm timeless. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. So I'm timeless.
Super
You know what I mean?
cool. Yeah.
That's the way I see things now.
Yeah.
So when they ask you how old, I'm timeless. I don't have an age. Timeless.
I'm going to use that
Listen.
next time.
I'm
Yeah.
timeless.
How old are you? I'm timeless.
I love it.
And then when they ask you how old or how much you weigh, I'm 100 and sexy. That's right. I'm 100
I
and
can't
sexy.
because I'm 260.
Okay, so you're 200 and sexy. There you go. 200 and sexy.
Pretty close to 360.
Well, that's where the sexy comes in. You just give them the 100, and then the rest is sexy.
Yeah.
That's the.
That damn scale is not friendly.
I lost it in the renovation in the house, and I'm pretty happy since it's
Darn.
gone.
Gone.
You know,
Gone.
can't find it.
Let it go. Let it go. Do you want to talk a few things about the Aquarius? What you guys have kind of going on over there?
We do. We have some really cool events coming up. So Debbie Gibson is going to be
I wish
Saturday
I was here
night.
this weekend. I would so be at her show.
Really? You
Yes,
Debbie
I've seen her in
Gibson.
Vegas actually with New Kids on the Block and a few of them.
Yeah. And so that's gonna be a big show, and then of course it's trying to do this off the top of my head. We've got so many concerts coming up.
We could cheat. We have the website up.
Yeah,
What
so,
else we
so
got?
let's get to the bigger acts, the ones. I mean, that's in Splash, and then of course that's definitely something fun. But you've got Debbie Gibson, and then I don't have my phone handy to bring it up. Oh yeah, thank you. So War is going to be there. We've got Three Dog Night that's going to be there. Rod Stewart is coming in November, and I've never seen Rod Stewart.
Me neither.
So
wink, wink.
Just scroll down, Argano. We can see him.
Styx and REO
Sam Hunt?
Speed.
Oh, Sam
Sam Hunt. That's
Hunt.
right. I forgot about Sam
Yeah.
Hunt. I can't forget about Sam Hunt. He's going to be there. The Temptations are going to
how
be at
fun
the
are
E
they?
Center. Three Dog Night's going to be at the E Center, and then you've got Sam Hunt's going to be at the Laughlin Event Center, and then you've got Styx and REO
So
Speedwagon.
everything that's a lot. Like you schedule.
They
part-
I
you're
don't
part
know.
Of that.
They just make me work it.
Yeah.
I don't get. We have been really focused on bringing as much entertainment to the area that we possibly can, and so the Laughlin Event Center is for the bigger acts when it's cooler.
Yeah.
And then when it's summertime or in the wintertime, we use the
inside.
Edge Pavilion, and it's beautiful in there because it's
Yeah,
cool
it's
and you don't
huge.
have the wind and all that stuff. So Three Dog Night and War will be in there. And if you've never seen War, I just got to tell you, they're still amazing, and they're a great band. If you like bands that jam, War is definitely an act to see. Three Dog Night, I can't say anything. That was my first CD that I ever bought.
Shush.
Was the greatest hits of Three Dog Night. So it's a great show as well. So lots and lots of incredible entertainment. There's a bingo room now at the Edgewater.
Bingo.
Bingo.
Everybody loves
Did they put a
bingo.
50-foot bingo sign on the side of the building?
I
Did you see that?
I
was like, I guess they have bingo now.
everybody needs to know there's bingo.
Go big or go home,
Yeah,
which brings
so-
you to the casino.
So Christy knows how I feel about bingo.
I don't.
Yes.
I'm not a fan either.
I don't get it.
I don't either.
don't get it.
I don't want. It's like that.
It's
Okay,
so
that's-
weird. I remember we played bingo in like elementary school, and I was like, you had the little thing you said.
Right.
I was like,
Why am I doing this?
So now
are we
it's
doing
so
here?
entertaining, though. You literally could go and have some drinks, and you don't really have to pay much attention besides number dog.
You don't even have
Number
to do that
dog.
anymore because now they have it all on computer, and
Oh,
you just get
haven't
your
been there
60
since then.
cards, and it's like drink all you want, so you can.
Well, now I'm loving bingo even more.
yeah. So it's all easy now. You don't even need to.
I
to
didn't
do
even
the-
know that. Yeah, that's great.
digital.
Well, we are so happy that you came to the show today.
Thank you. It was fun.
listen, we can stay here talking, but I'm sweating. It is
hot in here.
Good Lord.
It's good.
Got a little bit of a-
My
yes.
got a little glow going on.
I feel like
Yes.
I've been in the gym with my beats on.
Listen
like,
to the morning show.
Ah.
We get to, I think we go next Thursday.
I think you
Or
guys
the
are at the
following.
end of the month.
Listen,
were,
don't look
but-
at me. You got to ask Christy.
We
She
were,
says,
but
"Well, you
he's
better be
out
at the
of town,
radio
so I
this
think
morning."
we
I'm like,
upped it one year.
You did or something, but you're gonna be-
Anyways, we're going to the show. We always
Yes.
have a great time then as well.
The best way to not miss it, though, is just to listen every Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 10 on Country KFLAG, and then that way you'll sure to never miss
Then you won't miss
Christy and
us.
Shane on Thursday.
We're just gonna start stopping by like once a week.
I
if
think
that's
I
okay.
would be happy with that, guys.
Yeah.
I really would.
You ever hear us just banging on the window? You might think
Let
it's
us in.
think it's a homeless
The
guy. It's
aliens are
us.
gonna get us.
Yeah. You come anytime.
Hey, no, we appreciate you. Keep manifesting. We love it. I love it. Your energy is amazing.
You got to.
Oh, thank you.
You got
Yes.
to keep us posted on the
I think
podcast
I
progress.
think you and I
Yeah.
need to do a podcast.
You too.
Listen,
You know what I mean?
I'm
It
gonna
would be
get
great.
I'm gonna get canceled if I'm on a podcast for too long because
No,
you get me going.
do it.
But that would be
Do it.
awesome.
I'm gonna say some wild something at some point.
I would love that, though.
yeah,
go.
I think a lot. I don't think the Finleys would. I don't know.
It's gonna be fine. We won't. It'll be fine. Podcast coming soon.
Okay.
Thank you for showing up.
Thank you.
Support
Thank you for
local,
having me.
Support local, and we love you.
Ah, I
friend.
love you too.
Woo. All right. Have a good day, guys. Have a good weekend.
Bye.